The death toll of the coronavirus in Italy has spiked to 197. The country has the most recorded deaths of COVID-19 outside China. Now, trade between Italy and South Africa have always been strong, but now could this be in jeopardy? Joining me now from our Cape Town studios is the Secretary General of the Italian-South African Chamber of Commerce, Trade and Industries, Pamina Broha. Thank you so much, Pamina, for joining us this morning. Now, we do understand that Italy is one of South Africa's leading trade partners. So could we see a big impact as a result of the coronavirus? And exactly what kind of impact could we be seeing, and also the actual impact on trade relations?
So obviously Italy is a very important trade partner for South Africa. Trade has been growing over the last year and the relationship between the two countries has been excellent. In terms of the trade that is going on currently, one of the main imports into South Africa is machinery, precision machinery, engineering, industrial machinery, and also electrical machinery. So in these supply chains that are globally in these supply chains, we've seen quite a lot of disruption, but this is a global phenomenon and certainly not an Italian one. Supply chains have been disrupted in countries where the virus is present and in countries where the virus isn't present. So at this stage, it's very difficult to quantify the impact. Certainly there will be an impact, but from the outside, we can only monitor and observe. So the Italian Chamber of Commerce and Industries in South Africa is an independent association of entrepreneurs. It's a non-profit company that was founded in '83, and it interacts with the local institutions such as the embassy, the Trade Commission and various other associations. But we are not the government, we are not in Italy, and all we can do in terms of following what's happening in Italy is to really look at reliable sources of data such as the Ministry of Health, such as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Civil Protection Department or task force that is dealing with the crisis. So I think one has to be very careful with the sources of information so that we don't spread panic, but at the same time we ensure the safety of citizens on both sides, and we try and limit and slow down the outbreak as far as possible.
Let's talk a little bit about these entrepreneurial pursuits, because obviously as the Chamber you also facilitate relations, especially business relations, between entrepreneurs in South Africa as well as those entrepreneurs in Italy. As a result of this, of the virus in itself, have those discussions as well as network and conversations been hampered?
So it has obviously affected activities in Italy and South Africa. What we found is that a lot of trade fairs, Italy is very famous for trade fairs, have been postponed. So the preference is to postpone an event as opposed to cancelling it completely. And the assumption is that once the temperatures get warmer in the Northern Hemisphere, the spread of the virus will slow down, and therefore the economic activity can resume. At the same time, tourism has been affected a lot. The airline industry, hotels, restaurants, retail and everything that goes with that has slowed down because of people traveling less, postponing their travel, deciding not to travel at all. So for a business, that means that in many cases companies are issuing internal policies that will discourage people from joining gatherings with more than 10-15 people. It will discourage people from traveling where a meeting can be held remotely. So smart working has really become the catchword of the day. It's a very good solution if people can work remotely, can work from home, can have discussions over video conference. That certainly works very well in some industries. However, in the manufacturing industry, it doesn't really work that well. So some industries and supply chains have been hit a lot harder than others. But it is a global phenomenon, as I said, and not necessarily a South African or Italian or Chinese phenomenon, because everything is so interlinked that it is impossible to isolate. These supply chains are becoming longer and longer, more complex, more players involved, and we've seen countries where there is no coronavirus that have faced equal disruption in their supply chain, and specifically with regards to manufacturing. And travel has slowed down all over the world, and not just in the affected countries. So it's very difficult to say what the impact will be.
Phemina, we're going to leave it there for now. Thanks a lot for joining us. Phemina Broha, who is the Italian South Africa Chamber of Trade and Industries Secretary General.